saying welcome, Maire, to the studio. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very good. I had a great weekend. We're watching people running half marathon actually nearby here. And now super productive Monday with the team cycled here and excited to chat more. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, Numa AI. I thought we could just start by maybe putting a few words to the company.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you want to start by saying about your company?
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit about my background and how I reached Numa AI. Just kind of helps to tie that together. So I'm Maire. I'm originally from Estonia. I moved to Denmark when I was 18 and ever since been 15 years abroad. Started to study in Copenhagen and then ended up in London and most recently Los Angeles. And I spent 12 years in working with data, but also different enterprises, helping them to digitalize and kind of take the most out of recent technology. And then very lately, I founded a company called Numa AI. Numa AI is operating system for autonomous enterprise, meaning it's taking agentic AI to the next level and helping organization to automate everything within the organization.
Agentic AI. Could we maybe start by defining agentic AI? I've heard the term AI agent so many times in the last 6 months, but I think that a lot of people probably say AI agent, but they mean different things.
Absolutely.
Could we maybe say a few words to what we mean when we say agentic AI?
Absolutely. I think the easiest way to explain what is AI agent, because, obviously I've been pitching Numa multiple times over a couple of last months. And the main question is like, what is even AI agent, right? And then depending on the level where people are with their AI kind of understanding, I always start with ChatGPT because most of us are using ChatGPT. And what ChatGPT is AI assistant. And what AI assistant means is that there is a large language model. And in order to get some kind of output, you need to give it an input. And in human language, it means you need to ask something, which is also called prompting. And every time you ask something, it gives you a reply. But in order to do that, there needs to be always human who does that. Now, to explain AI agent, it does the similar thing, but it does in a loop. It has also tools. It has also models, like LLMs, but it also has tools. For example, it can get access to your Gmail, it can access to your calendar, so it's way more sophisticated, and it can do the same task every single day. And it can also iterate and get better. Did it explain it, or how would you explain AI agent?
So AI assistant, it needs input, which is human prompting.
Absolutely.
AI agent can take more things as input and also has access to tools, so
which
it
is
can
super important.
do things.
Absolutely.
Okay. Sometimes when I ask ChatGPT or other AI models a question, they come back with a response that is just not correct. People talk about, for example, hallucinating, and if there's a human in the loop, I mean, I pride myself for being able to tell, sometimes at least, if the AI model is hallucinating. Can we trust AI agents to do what we want them to do?
Yeah, it's $1 million question, first of all. I think it's the most important question to be asked. So part of, if you think about agentic AI, is the AI agent itself, what tools and models it's using. Correct. Another part of that is how it's trained to be acting and what data it's accessing, because now it can access also for example, your company data, right? So obviously AI agents are hallucinating. This is known, but you can reduce that by building in guardrails. That means, for example, with Numa AI, we're also building and using AI agents. And the first question that companies are often asking is like, how accurate it is? Can it get to the human level? And the answer is, in the early days, it needs a further training. So not exactly, but the more you use it, the better it gets. And what we're using for that is called human in a loop. So essentially at the very beginning, just like with ChatGPT, it performs a task, but instead of you prompting, it does the task regularly. Based on the task that it performed, you can give it feedback. You can approve the task, you can reject the task, or you can say that it was almost there, but I'm missing X, Y, Z. And based on that, the agent can get better with the time. Obviously, it takes time, like everything, But once there's enough feedback and enough organizational context, the agents can actually get quite high output. And then I also love to say I was recently attending, actually we both attended a Lovable and Synthesia session here during Tech Barbecue. And I think it was Anton on a stage, or maybe it was someone else. Anton is a founder of Lovable, who were saying that AI agents and AI is often criticized for hallucinating and making mistakes, but at the same time, we as human beings don't think that AI agents, yes, they make mistakes. Humans also make mistakes, but they can work 24/7. So I think some kind of mistakes are still allowed, and obviously we're evolving in this space all the time as well.
This training, so you can say that the AI agent is kind of working alongside you for a while and observing you do your task.
Absolutely.
And you give it feedback.
Absolutely.
And hopefully it will get better over time.
Not hopefully, that's kind of, that's more or less the intention for that, right?
Yeah.
So essentially think about, I always try to make a parallels with human employees. When you're hiring someone in an organization, especially when they're juniors, right? You kind of hire the potential that's, potential is there. You bring them to an organization and then you expose them within organizational rules. It can be contacts. It can be like in organization, we do certain things and we don't do another things. It can be we speak with the customers in a certain way, so tone of voice, or you make them to shadow you or kind of say that this, every time when they produce the work, you say that this was very well done, do more of that. Or when they produce something that doesn't really work well, you give them a feedback. It's exactly the same with AI agents.
Sometimes there are edge cases. I mean, some jobs have very repetitive tasks and 999 times out of 1,000 is the same. But then you need to kind of make a decision, a decision that is out of the ordinary. And I would imagine that if AI agents are based on training, like a neural net, that sometimes edge cases are not very well represented. Humans have something that I guess you can call it common sense about what you can do and what you can't do. Is there any good way to mitigate these edge cases if you have an AI agent in a company?
What I believe, and there's multiple answers to this question, obviously, if that would be all figured out, I think AI agents would be everywhere. They're not yet. There's lots of discussions about the potential of AI agents, but also discussions of where are the limitations. So the first answer is, I still believe it's a human in a loop. It's an approval flow. So whenever AI agent kind of finds something that's out of the ordinary, so where it can't reason, it should bring it to human attention, same way. And then a human should make a decision. Should we approve that? Is the recommendation good or not? And then act on it. And sometimes it also might mean that it needs to brought out of even agentic AI and maybe manually proceeded, right? It could be, good example could be, for example, invoices. And there is one invoice that actually doesn't fit any of the rules. Maybe customers complaining they actually paid it, but they haven't paid it. Agentic AI might run into trouble in this case, right? And this is the time when it should be escalated to someone who kind of can look deeper into the case. But again, if it's 1% out of 99%, I think, and the rest 99% is well performed, I don't see a problem there.
I'm happy you said invoicing, because my next question is actually, what kind of tasks are AI agents doing today in companies?
Yeah, there's plenty of different tasks. I'm actually interviewing companies every single day. We also work with plenty of different companies, mostly mid-size, not so much very tiny ones, not so much Fortune 500 companies. The most common use cases, what I'm hearing, every single day is sales. Sales lead qualification, sales outbound, sales, even kind of extracting the sales information from sales tools and understanding where are we in pipeline. There could be also finance cases which is a bit more sensitive, where AI can, send invoices check that our invoice is paid. Our customer service is very common. I think all of us are kind of familiar with the customer service use cases where AI is responding on behalf of the company, or at least sorting the kind of customer questions. Then most of us have seen use cases in email where AI is able to kind of look into your email and categorize that. There's use cases, to be honest, in all different functions. I think just some functions are more developed than other. I think like what's most developed, in my opinion, what I've seen in the market is really sales, marketing, customer service. And then operations are really kind of right now developing, and finance and so on and so forth.
Okay, sales, finance, marketing, email.
Operations. HR, I think it's very interesting use case now as well,
Okay.
like filtering, reviewing CVs. But I think the complexity is how do you make sure that AI can be also biased? How do you make sure that there is not the bias within AI? So that's a very interesting space for me as well.
So I think that most people who have applied for jobs recently are very familiar with the fact that AI flags CVs for different things. But if we start with sales, so I don't work in sales. I've never worked in sales. You said sales, qualifying sales leads. If we get a bit more into the weeds of
Absolutely happy to do that.
What would the AI do if it were to qualify sales leads?
So for example, where sales process normally starts is, let's focus on outbound sales. Where a sales process normally starts is, first of all, the sales teams need to understand, have a list of customers, right? Depending on a company, they find list of companies, might find them from LinkedIn. They might find them US companies, often from ZoomInfo or other kind of databases, right? The next thing is, how do I even know that's my kind of ideal client? How can I qualify those companies? So how it can be often based on revenue. For example, I know that my clients are certain size and revenue, certain geographic location. For example, I might just look companies that are Europe, maybe in Denmark. It could be also buyer persona. I might only sell to CFOs, for example. So that could be a second step. So first you need to have a database where you can find the leads. Second is that you need to know what are you looking for. So that's I call qualification. And then once you have the list and it's qualified, the next stage is reach out. This is the interesting piece because you could actually use AI to reach out as well. AI is quite capable of sending emails behalf of you. AI actually can also call behalf of you, but that's where I can see our differences between Europe and US. US companies are actually quite open already using AI to send out sales emails or notifications, or even having AI calling behalf of you. While in Europe, there is still a little bit resistance in there.
And the human in the loop. For example, I'm guessing that the finding the list, making the list is fine. I mean, even I would probably trust an AI to do all those steps. But emailing customers is where it gets tricky. That's tricky. And if you had a human in the loop, I would imagine that that human would read the email before it's sent out. So
there's a levels of human in a loop, right? Once you start using, let's say, an AI agent, right? There could be a human in a loop stage, which is a fully assisted, meaning that human will review. Every email will go to a person for approval or rejection. So basically AI drafts an email, personalized emails, sends that to human. Human reviews it, maybe edits it, and then approves or completely rejects if it doesn't make any sense. Then there could be a next step. Maybe that happens for a week. AI already learns what works, what doesn't work. And then a second week, a certain type of emails can already go out. Let's say if you have every company, when you normally have a lead list, you have those hot leads, and then you have a cold leads. Hot leads means that they're very likely to convert. Cold leads is that you're not sure how well they're going to convert. It might be a process where hot leads are always treated by human being, or at least approved by human being, while cold leads can be, having this email sent directly from AI. And then a third step could be that AI performs, so it's semi-autonomous. AI performs behalf of a human employee, but flags if there's a corner case. So there's basically steps of let's say, autonomous AI.
Do you think that companies should mark every email that's written by AI so that the person receiving it?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the reason for that, I mean, this is a way wider topic, but like one of the questions I asked myself when I even started this company, I've studied AI now. I used to be a product director for AI company, and I also worked with an AI in private equity setting in Los Angeles and studied all evenings basically AI and where AI is going. And when I started, or like when I was thinking about launching Numa AI, one of the questions that I asked myself was like, how AI will influence and change our society as a whole. What is the positive aspect of that, and what is the negative aspect for that? Because I think one of the things that was very important for me was like how it can be forced for good, because there's also lots of harm that you can do for AI. And I mean, on this topic, I think it needs to be very transparent when AI is communicating. Also, there's two reasons. On a company reputational reasons, because let's say AI really sends out something that doesn't align with company policies, it's harmful. It's way easier, at least in a current environment where we are, to explain to potential customer or customers that yes, it was a system error, even though it should never happen anyways. And the second thing is, me as a human being, I still want to know who I'm communicating with, right? Most of our emails have signatures for this reason. I don't think AI should be any different as well, right? And then, I mean, there's lots of other discussions about, transparency and where AI goes in long run as well, which we can obviously open now if you're interested.
I have another question I thought
Yeah.
about now that you were talking about this, and that is volume.
Yeah.
We touched upon the problem, or I mean, might not be a problem,
Yeah.
but this whole thing with CVs.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, I saw a meme at least the other week that people are using AI to write CVs because it's so hard to get a job.
Yeah.
At the same time, people at HR departments are using AI to read CVs because they get so many CVs. The
It's like a
volume is
catch-22,
yes,
right?
it's a catch-22, and it's the same with sales emails.
Yeah.
I mean, because you could imagine that there's someone on the other end, on the receiving company,
Mhm.
who also has an AI.
Mm.
So this just means it's an AI trying to sell something to another AI,
Mm.
and
That's not too far from future, though.
it's really not, no.
No.
But you could also see how the volume would just
Mhm.
explode this
Yeah.
way. If it's cheaper to write emails, I mean, could you make communication more efficient somehow? Especially if it's an AI talking to an AI. Do they really need to send emails? I mean, is that the most efficient way
I
for them
think
to
it's
communicate?
another $1 million question you're asking here. My take is that AI will fundamentally change lots of things. It also will change how the software works. I mean, the question might be even, do we need mail inbox, right? The question could be, could we have in the future two AI agents just negotiating between themselves? I think it's actually not that far future at all. Or could we all have an AI assistant that acts behalf of us, right? Maybe an AI assistant can write CV, behalf of me, send to the HR, communicate behalf of me. So yes, I think the volume. So I think we need to. So my answer is that we need to fundamentally change our thinking. Instead of thinking, can we reduce the volume? Is more of like, can the systems handle the volume, right? Because the HR was a good example. There's lots of more applicants who will use AI to kind of fine tune their CVs and maybe even send out more CVs, right? Actually, the ones who are losing are the ones who don't actually use AI in this equation, right? That they're the only ones who are losing. And at the same time, companies are using AI to make sure that they can filter it faster, right? Net, I think the human work hours are not actually increasing. They're both sides decreasing. So in terms of human work hours, we're perfectly balanced. But the ones, so for example, the companies that doesn't implement AI now to process CVs, they're fundamentally losing because their kind of human work hours just going to go up. And everyone who's applying for a job and don't use AI, they're also losing. So I think the only people losing on this equation are the ones who are not using AI.
But do you think that companies find better candidates this way, or do you think that's also the same? So let's just, I buy this 100%. It's the
a
same
very
amount of work
interesting topic.
hours.
HR is
But
very
has anything improved? I mean, okay, we don't work more, at least, than we used to. But the amount of hours are the same on both.
yeah.
Is anything positive coming out of this? Do we get better candidates? Is the process improved in any?
If you now think about sales process, right? Sales process is statistically a volume, right? The more volume you have, it's a conversion and the volume, right? Coming back to sales now, two topics together.
So 100 people, if you ask 100 people, you ask more than 10.
Yeah.
And if most of those say yes, that's conversion, right? If
So,
I ask you,
so essentially, if you ask 100 people and your conversion rate is 10%, it means that 10 are positive, right? If you ask 100 people and your conversion rate is 20%, 20 are positive. So it depends on both, right? And conversion rate always depends how good your processors are or how good you're in sales, while other is a volume game, right? So I mean, statistically, and again, I'm not statistical. I think you're about more of a data analyst, but statistically, if companies are getting bigger volume of candidates, right? Essentially, they should also get higher qualified applicant based on AI analyzing all of those CVs. I think the thing where it might go wrong, which I'm kind of against of in HR bit, and I'm not HR expert by any means. I think there's a better people kind of discussing this topic, is part of writing your CV and also your motivational letter is the effort you put into that, right? If I really want to get a job, I will put lots of effort on that. So it doesn't show anymore the effort level. Like none of it shows the effort level. But indeed, you get a bigger pool of applicants and you can filter them out. What I expect can happen, again, by no means HR expert. There's going to be, video. There's going to be video CVs. I think your social media profile is going to be taken into account and so on. And that's again on a process in AI level. I think right now, again, I haven't deep dived in HR. I'm not expert by any mean, but as a company, you can take into account more touch points. You can take into account of social profile. You can look into LinkedIn, same time look into, CVs, any other screening in the same process, right? Which you wouldn't have time or kind of to do with 100 or 1,000 CVs or maybe 10,000 CVs, right? So I think the efficiency is still there. And studies have shown that AI in general brings more or less 30% of efficiency gains. That's across use cases. This is not HR per se. And 30% is a huge efficiency gain, right?
Yeah. But could you also use AI for those other things? So I
For
guess,
example.
well, so I guess what I'm kind of swinging for here is that most of what we used to call the hiring process is done by AI.
Yeah.
AI writes the CVs, AI reads the CVs, AI picks the candidate. But then, we also move to these other things, like video, for example, because AI can do video, but they can't do it that well yet, I hope. But could you implement AI in these areas too? I mean, are we creating a space that is more human? Video, who and so forth, where we don't want to implement AI? Or is this just another step on the kind of AI ladder where AI is just not good enough to do this yet, but it will at some point. And at some point, the entire thing will be AI.
That's what I think. So coming back to enterprise settings, like because we with Numa, we really focus on actually not on like societal changes, but more in enterprise setting and how you can really build autonomous enterprise. And what happens with AI right now, as you rightly pointed out, like AI agents are there, they're giving you efficiency, but they're not 100% accurate yet. And I mean, it's debatable if 100% accuracy is even where we're gonna ever get, but like you still want to get like 90, 95 or something like that. And for that, what we are doing is that we're building in guardrails that I explained. We're making sure that there's also integrations to company data, so it's better. But coming back to your point of use cases, I just actually a week ago, I saw a very interesting graph that kind of showed agentic AI and the use cases over next 3-4 years. And basically philosophy there was that we start with use cases more into knowledge level. So repetitive tasks, and then we move to the leadership. So for example, CMO, CFO level, right? And then we go really top management, CEO level. And it kind of makes lots of sense, because if you now think about AI, and it's coming back to kind of the aspect that you need to train that, it gets better, also AGI, of course. Like, it makes sense that you start from a very simple tasks, make sure that AI is doing that well, and then as we go, move more into leadership level and then really exec level, right? So essentially, I don't think we have kind of solved very well all of the simple use cases yet to move to the super complex.
But if I hear you correctly, in 5 years' time, we will have AI agents that can not only do the kind of the lowest level of tasks, but also
Leadership.
middle and upper management.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think that's the case?
I think it's the case. Actually, it's already achievable. It's in some capacity achievable today, and that's what we're looking into with the guardrails and learning loops and things like that. But AI, both models, but overall agentic AI is developing every month. To be honest, I have a feeling sometimes every hour. So it's definitely gonna get there, yes. And we also, as a human, species will get more knowledge of how to work with agentic AI. So definitely, I think autonomous enterprises and like having a higher level roles, agentic, is the future. And maybe not even 5 years, maybe 3 years from now.
I mean, 3 to 5 years is not a very long time.
Yeah,
Is there any parallel in history to this? I mean, I've heard the internet.
And industrial revolution, right?
Yeah, but that took a long time.
That
That
took
took
a long time.
100 years
Yeah.
or 150 years. If AI agents can replace every level of an enterprise in 3 to 5 years.
They don't need to still fully replace. They can
Okay.
also coexist, right?
Yep.
I mean, I think there is a potential for not replacing, but like building companies that have very few employees and still can make, billions of dollars. But I don't think the near future gonna be that. You still have employees that are overseeing AI, because, coming back to my previous point, you still need to oversee AI, and people still need to bring, creativity, context. We're not in AGI yet. But you don't, instead of maybe 1,000 people in organization, need 100, right? And it's more concentrated into knowledge, and all those 100 people really need to understand AI. That's kind of the reply from my end. What was the other part of the question? I think I might have.
I mean, 3 to 5 years. It's a very short time span.
Yeah. So coming back to the time span, I think a digital web 2.0 web took the web.com revolution. I'm just thinking, how long did it took? Pretty much like 15 years, right? But I think the difference from that was that I just listened yesterday actually podcast that was telling that AI implementation in organizations in general wouldn't be possible without cloud computing. Essentially. Because the cloud computing was kind of enabling the first data layer to move away from servers to cloud, right? Because if you had to go directly to AI, then you have we would go to organizations and tell like, can you first move all your data to my servers or like cloud, and then implement AI on top of that. So I think there's a lot of work done with digitalization, both, creation of internet, we're all, digital, cloud computing, and then add to the mix intelligence. Right. We don't only have our own intelligence, we have an intelligence that helps us with this revolution. What makes it a little bit questionable is that change management takes time. People changing their habits takes time. Organizational change takes time. So probably not everyone or every organization will be agentic in 5 years from now. But you will see the first organizations that will be fully autonomous by that time.
Do you think there'll be more or fewer jobs available in 5 years' time?
That's the best question. So you're asking lots of good questions. What do you think? I will answer very shortly, but what do you think?
I think that, 5 years' time is not a long time. I think that in 5 years, it will look more or less like today. Like, I think that there are other factors that are probably as important, if not more important than AI. Interest rates, tariffs, world economy, other
War
things.
probably.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, my gut tells me that it's probably similar to today, but I meet a lot of people who tell me that's not the case, and I am always curious about like what their vision for the future is.
I think the future work will look very different. Very different. But I'm one of the few people, or not one of the few, like I'm the half that kind of sees that as a positive thing rather than a negative thing, right? Because you can say that, you know, AI takes our jobs and none of us have jobs and things like that. But now, again, coming back to your point, to industrial revolution and then now dot-com boom and things like that, it also created an environment where most of us are sitting in front of computers like 8, 9, 10 hours. And I mean, it's what's not topic for today, but I'm also a huge health enthusiast myself. And this is definitely not healthy for none of us, right? So I think if you ask from most of us, would we like to do more sports, you know, spend more time outdoors, spend more time with our loved ones, I think most of us would say yes, absolutely yes. And I mean, we're in Denmark, it's absolutely fortunate place in a way that, you know, most people finish their work 4 o'clock and things like that, but it's not the case in US and rest of the world. So I think what happens is hopefully the work days will be shorter. I'm a big advocate for 4 days work week as well. I think human labor can be more expensive in one point, but in a certain jobs which are technology related. I also think that every service that's human to human will be more expensive. And you see that already in the restaurant business. I was thinking about that. If you're thinking about fast food restaurants, they always have automated ordering. Now go to the end, like a high-end restaurant, they always have someone, you know, bringing your food, taking the order. And I think that's going to be the case. So I think any kind of a service business or elderly care or anything like that will be a little bit more premium because it's humans' time. The job market kind of shift. I don't know if you saw latest release from OpenAI. They just launched their job portal. I'm very intrigued. What's gonna happen? Apparently, you can do like different certifications in AI. And there's companies who are publishing their jobs there, so you can apply, but they can see also what learnings you have done, and it's a direct competition for LinkedIn. So I think then that's a good example how nature of jobs gonna change as well. And then last of but not least, probably one point, but not 5 years from now, maybe 10 years from now, there needs to be some kind of universal income as well from governments. So I think the society will fundamentally change. But are there going to be less or more jobs? I don't know.
I mean, I guess if you had UBI, Universal Basic Income, that would kind of point to a redistribution of wealth, not through labor, but because you would get this even if you didn't work. Yeah. So hopefully there will be less human labor required in the future.
I think there's going to be less human labor required, but there's still going to be human labor required, like in a form of either volunteering or a form. I don't think if there's, I mean, I believe there's going to be universal income. I don't think it's going to be that universal per se. I think there is still going to be, you know, for example, I don't know, elderly care is a good example. We're all going to get lonelier, which is, you know, aftermath of digitalization, which doesn't make much sense. So I think there's going to be a way of we as humans can work, but it's maybe a different type of work. We don't need to be in front of computers that much anymore.
Is there anything that AI can't do? I mean, we touched upon human to human, for example, but we also expect AI to do stuff like sales, customer complaints, HR, funnily enough. So I guess what I'm asking for, if we roll the clock forward, maybe not 5 years, maybe not 10 years, but let's say 50 years. Hopefully I'll be retired in 50 years, but you never know.
You never know.
Never know.
Longevity is also a big thing.
So. It's also fighting against me on that one. But is there anything that, in your view, AI can't do when it comes to jobs and running a company and
I think I mean, obviously robotics will also develop in the same time, right? I haven't looked that much into robotics. like coming back to my point, I think AI, even if we're talking about AGI, which is more like general intelligence that has more like rational thinking and contextualizing and so on, I think AI will still never gonna be as empathic as human beings. I think we as a human still wanna have this. I think again coming back to service, yes, AI can it do service business? Can it, yes. Is it gonna be as good as human beings? Probably not. Can AI do music? Yes. Do we still miss human beings being on a stage? Probably yes. Can AI do art? Or really do they can, but like, do we want to have human beings doing art? Yes. I don't know about like all like manual work and things like that. I think a lot of robotics can actually cover that. So it's not a question of AI itself. It's almost a question of what robotics can or can't do in a physical world, right? What's your
Having the
take?
scaffolding. Yeah, no, I think human connection part is probably the one that stands out to me.
Yeah.
Having an AI yoga instructor to me doesn't really make sense,
Yeah.
But I'm struggling to find, I mean, out of the traditional jobs. But it kind of leads me into my next question, because you've said AGI a couple times now.
Yeah.
And most of the time when people talk about AGI,
Mhm.
they're talking about an AI that can do everything a human can do.
Mhm.
Maybe your average human, maybe not a
Mhm.
specialist, but your average human, as good or better than a
Mhm.
human could. So probably there would be some robotics involved in there.
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
Well, my question is actually, do you think we're on track to achieve AGI? Like, do you think that the kind of the way we're making AI today, large language models combined with multimodal, so they can look at pictures, they can write text, do you think we're on track to reach AGI with this type of AI, or do we need to, do we need another ChatGPT revolution before we can reach AGI?
You're asking me a lot of big questions today. Based on what I see, again, I'm not sitting in OpenAI office in San Francisco. I wish, but based on what I see, I think there is enough resources and money in industry, and also interest from multiple government levels to advance AI as fast as possible. So my answer, if the legislations won't get on away, which might be also the case, I think we're on a track. Obviously, you need to also layer on, resources in terms of need for extra data warehouses and things like that. If we have resources, if governments and OpenAI is, I think, one of the leading ones, but there is more institutions like OpenAI working on that in a world level. If they continue doing what they're doing right now, I think we are on track from AGI. But obviously, I think AGI is one of the things that are creating lots of fear, both political perspective, because it's giving power over a huge intelligence to very few organizations and very few, actually governments. Because if you think in European level, we really don't have our own model. We don't have that much of an AGI going on. And imagine that even US or China would have an AGI, right? So, or maybe other countries as well, but like mostly those two are runners for there. So I think it's a more question. I don't think it's a science question. It's more of a restriction question. It's a resources question. But I think we will see AGI sooner than we expect.
Wow. If we bring it back to what we talked about before, so one of the use cases for AI today or agents today is customer support.
Yeah.
We talked about empathy before, and when I reach out to customer support, I don't know if it's outspoken, but I probably require or want some form of empathy because I have a problem and I'm talking to someone and I kind of want them to feel with me. Do you think that the empathy an AI agent can give me as a customer support agent can be, a good replacement for let's say the human touch or the empathy that a human customer support agent would be able to provide for me?
That's a very good question. agents can be, as coming back to my previous point, agents can be trained with a tone of voice, what to say, what not to say, right? So in a customer service, obviously there's very different customer service experiences. We might, discuss returning your clothing item, or like in, customer service of, I don't know, hospitals. There's two very different angles, right? There might be very sensitive messages to deliver versus, your t-shirt was late. So in a overall context, let's not talk about those super, super sensitive areas, maybe where there is, question of, is it, suitable or not? Let's say the general customer service is actually, if you think about replies that you're getting from customer service, they're usually quite generic. Even today, I used to manage customer service department in US. I trained them. Even today, they have copy-paste answers. There's actually very little personalization. There's less personalization than you expect. Even today, they have copy-paste answers because essentially they are measured how fast they can respond to the customers. They're measured how happy customers are, for example, NPS score, right? Or they're measured on a tickets amount and how fast there's resolved, right? So those are the main KPIs customer service is measured on. Because of that, they're actually already automating. Whether it's AI or not, what AI is just doing is, it's instead of someone copy pasting, it can answer based on those guardrails. And it can actually be very personalized based on your, email history, based on what we know already, what it orders. So I think in a customer service, in a traditional customer service context, I think AI is completely there. Obviously, it needs to be monitored. It needs to have the company context, tone of voice. But I think customer service is one of the best use cases for AI, in my opinion, because it's a huge volume. And in most customer service cases, it's not, life or death situation. So it's okay if the message in it is in a certain way, right?
Mm. So personalization, tone of voice, these are things that AI does really well.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're important? And hear me out on this.
Yeah.
Because if I know that an AI wrote this, I know this is an AI tone of voice. It's been trained or programmed to write a certain way. It's personalized. It can remember my birthday, maybe. Do you still think that's important to me?
I think it's absolutely important because even think about, I think it's a good example. When you're speaking with ChatGPT, I have my ChatGPT trained to know me in and out. Like in and out. It knows a lot about me. I have your chat trained in and out because I love the personalization. I love that it knows so much about me. I know it's an AI. I don't think it's a human being, but I don't need to explain those things about me, right? It just takes this effort away. I think it's same for customer service. Like you still, yes, you might understand it's an AI, but you still wish that it's personalized. And then from company perspective, whether customer knows it's AI or not, it's a face of your company. It shouldn't speak with your customers differently than you. Because imagine you have a amazing web e-commerce site, right? You have super good offline experience. Whenever customers are calling, they get fantastic customer service. And then this AI chatbot is super rude. Like it ruins the experience. Like it doesn't make sense. So I think it needs to suit to the ecosystem. It needs to represent your company. And it still should make you feel good. Like I wouldn't like ChatGPT who was super rude with me. So I think it's very important.
And I guess also you can say you're signaling that with the personalization, you're signaling that you don't have to waste time writing these things.
Exactly.
So that's a very good point, actually.
Exactly.
So you're obviously working in an AI startup, and specifically with AI agents.
Yes.
AI is still a very, I want to say new technology. Obviously, AI's been around for a long time, but in the last 3 years, applied AI. Do you think that the AI space today is saturated, or do you think that there are lots of low-hanging fruit left to be picked?
Another big question.
Well, I mean, when you started with Numa, sorry, did you feel like, oh wow, we are just facing 1,000 competitors, they're all doing the same thing, or this is just this was an easy choice for me, this has not been done before, this is just something completely new?
Mean, Numa AI started from my personal problem, first of all, right? Because I spent 2 years with private equity in Los Angeles trying to turn around Chapter 11 companies, which are essentially companies that bankrupt, and then you come in, you look at their processes, you look at the org chart, unfortunately also reduce the org chart, bring in AI. And then what I realized during the process was that there was already back then lots of AI hype, and we worked with, very smart people from Stanford and so on. But everyone who came to approach us were like, we have this amazing vertical AI agent that can do XYZ, like, for example, for customer service or very specific e-commerce case or very specific, actually that was most of it, and maybe a little bit social media as well. But then I was like, but I would love to look into my data layer. I would love to understand how can I bring AI to all departments, not just one department, right? So I think, so basically to answer your questions, there's lots of AI agents popping up every day, like tons of them. There's lots of vertical AI platforms popping up every day. I think there is maybe too little work done in terms of horizontal AI, like how enterprises can run the full organization. That was kind of the thing that we tackled into as well, and it was a problem I experienced. It wasn't really the problem that I was like looking into. I also think there is a massive opportunity if anyone else wants to build AI startups. I think there's an opportunity in governance and AI security, because now think that on our discussions that AI can do anything in a future AI chance, then there needs to be some kind of a security and guardrails around that. I think there's a huge opportunity for AI security startups. And actually one use case I wish that someone would solve is PowerPoints.
PowerPoints.
Yes.
Okay.
Because there's Lovable, right? I don't know how much and everyone hasn't kind of tried Lovable, but Lovable basically, I shouldn't maybe advertise it that much, but like what Lovable does is that you can prompt it and it kind of design like a website for you or an app for you. What I'm missing, and there is Comma, missing basically a tool that does the same for PowerPoints. Because like even a startup founder, I do everything with AI. Because I'm building an AI startup, I should do everything with AI. And one thing where I still use lots of my own hours is doing PowerPoints. And I think someone really should build a startup for that.
For PowerPoints. Yeah.
PowerPoints.
AI for
If I could just prompt it and it would create very nice pitch deck, I would love it. I would pay for it. Please do it.
Okay. What? So you said you use AI for almost everything
Almost
other
everything.
than
Almost
PowerPoints.
everything. Yeah.
If you wanted to highlight one thing that you use AI for that you think that maybe most people haven't heard of, or they're not using AI for, or maybe something that most people are using AI for, but
I think the most useful thing I personally have done is that I have AI chats for different purpose, both my life and business. So I have one chat that's trained with all our company data. We also have our own agents, but this was where we started. We have one chat that's completely trained with our company. So I discuss with that whenever we have a decision, whenever we need answered, things like that. But personally and company-wise, so what we do with AI, let me take together and then come to personal as well. What we do with AI company-wise is that we obviously use Cursor for coding. We use Lovable for all the designs and development. We have our own AI agents for sales. So if you ever receive a message from us, it's probably an AI. We also use AI to generate most of the text and copy whenever we post on social. We have AI that reads emails as well. And then what I don't have is AI for PowerPoints still. And we don't have AI for finance. That's something we want to build. But personally, what I would recommend for everyone to do, because there might be listeners who are not entrepreneurs, is to build your own chats in OpenAI. Or you can also try to build your own agents. For example, you can use N8N to build your own agents. But what's very useful for me is that personally I have built chats. I have a chats for health and fitness. I used to use MyFitnessPal. I know that you're very much into health as well. So for example, I make a picture of most of the food I consume, and at the end of the day, it tells all my calories, which is super cool. I have a personal coach in OpenAI as well. I speak with that every single day. Every end of the week, I ask, what can I improve? What do you think about that? I have obviously a company AI. And I have an AI that's criticizing my decisions as well, which is quite interesting one. So basically, I trained one AI bot to be super critical and always give me kind of a controversial view on anything I say, which is extremely useful, to be honest, especially in company perspective.
So before you post something or you want to say something.
So both, also my views, also anything we do on a company. So it basically criticizing it, because it, even thinking about your human friends, right? Most of the friends are similar to you, or they want to be very likable.
Nice. They're too
So
nice.
they're nice. They always say, even like a startup, right? I mean, startup is maybe another good one. You meet both, but normally people want to agree with you. But what you often need is different perspective. So I have a chat that's trained on different perspective, and it can kind of give me different views of the situations, discussions, and things like that. And it's been super enriching, to be honest, because you see, world with the different eyes as well.
Oh, but that's super interesting. What about for founders? If someone is a tech founder or an AI founder and they're listening to this, and is there any one thing you'd like to highlight?
I think
for them?
if you haven't built your own agent, please do so. I think that's one of the things. A, you learn AI agents, and B, also, if you can, as a founders, you have very little hours in your day, as you know. Build yourself, think about the one task that takes most of your time and build agent for that. That would be my kind of request. And what you can do is that you can build agent, for example, in N8N. It's a platform where you can drag and drop. It's no code, very easy. You understand how the agent works. Not the most sophisticated in long run, but it does the job. So yeah, I absolutely would recommend that. And if you build few and one point want to manage them all, then you can come to Numa AI.
Okay. If you could go back in time.
Yeah.
And correct one thing about the company. I'm sure that you've been through lots of things, and people listening might find it useful, Oh,
it's a good one. One thing that I would do, what we didn't do day one, is that I would actually build our own AI enterprise as a day one thing from our perspective. Because, like, I think building your AI enterprise as a day one, just a technical perspective, and then I come more in a human perspective, helps you to kind of map all the processes anyways, because then you understand how the ideal processes should be. And then if you make it agentic, it just kind of saves you more time. And the second thing, I'm just thinking, what would I change? What would I change? I don't think you can change many things, because it's like a journey. Like, it's a journey, because I didn't know things that I know today. But I think the one advice I would give to every founder, just keep talking with your customers. But same time, also, we had a very interesting team meeting today, because it's like, in our space, customers often don't know where the AI goes in 5 years from now. So speak with your customers, but also try to understand what's happening in industry in the same time, and kind of fusion those two together in most of spaces. I think that would be biggest advice. Like, really understand the industry, keep speaking with customers, and the best way to understand your industry is to make sure who are the thought leaders in your industry, follow them in social, try to understand what are they talking about and what's really happening there.
We've talked about many different things today, AI agents and your company and everything.
Yeah.
Is there anything we haven't talked about that you think it would make sense to bring up? Something that, everyone should know about AI agents, or?
Yeah, I think one question that I keep getting from my own network is, Maire, you now kind of spend 2-3 years on studying AI, you're building your own AI startup. I see the space is going super fast. Where should I get started? Like, if I want to learn more about AI, what's the best thing to do? Or if I have a company and I want to bring more AI into that, what should I do? So I will give my own answer, but I want to hear your answer as well. I think that's always useful. And I think from my perspective, to start with AI, first rule is you need to get your hands dirty. So try as many AI tools as you can, because I don't say AI is hyped, but there is higher expectations sometimes than the tools can do. So you need to try some tools. Obviously, try ChatGPT, build your own agent in N8N. and try to use few other tools, whether it's Lovable to design a site or anything else. And then the second thing what I would do is that understand the general theory around AI. Like, what is an agent, right? What is a model? What is a small language model? What's a large language model? And things like that. And then the third one, what I did myself, is also follow the thought leaders in a space, like whether it's LinkedIn, X, or whatever platform you prefer to do. So that would be my kind of 3 things. So first, get your hands dirty. Second, understand the theory. And third, understand what's happening in a space itself. What would be your recommendation? If
I always start the same place, no matter what it is, and that is Wikipedia. I'm a big
proponent
of Wikipedia.
Do you think it's going to be alive after AI revolution?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I think that having somewhere where there's no financial incentive is very important.
Yeah.
I mean, public service.
They should sponsor this podcast. By
the way. Yeah, they don't have any money. They're always asking for money. I mean, public service plays a similar role in many countries. BBC in the UK, obviously. But I think that, I mean, in my opinion, Wikipedia is amazing because no one would have thought that it would work before. But I mean, I think it works very well. And I think that, I mean, no matter where you go, if you listen to thought leaders, for example, they usually have an agenda, or they have an incentive to say different things, or they're trying to sell something. They have their own company. I think that it's very important to get kind of unbiased information that way. And I really agree with the getting your hands dirty. It depends on what you want, but everyone can, with the help of AI, write some lines in Python. If you want to understand how, you know, in AI, if you really want to know how it works, you should do it. The best way to learn something is to do it.
100%.
So yeah, no, I think those two. If I had to highlight 2 things, yourself.
And what do you read in Wikipedia?
Everything. It depends
on
AI. Oh, I mean, start by going to the AI page.
Yeah.
And read the abstract at the top.
Have you read that?
No.
So homework to Jonathan.
I need to read the abstract on the AI Wikipedia page. Well, thank you, Maire. This has been amazing. If people want to follow you or the work you do, where should they go?
Yeah, absolutely. Go to LinkedIn, follow Numa AI, or follow myself, Maire Orusaar. You probably find it in show notes. And then feel free to TM me if you have any AI questions or you want to start your own AI enterprise.
Super. We'll put links in the description. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Didn't get it, Marty?